A thread by Brian Cates. Amichai Stein tweets, breaking, Bahrain will normalize ties with Israel. Bahrain Crown Prince will be in D.C. Monday, officials confirmed to me. Brian begins. 8-week plan. Yesterday, the Palestinian Authority demanded the Arab League condemn the Israel-UAE peace treaty. The League refused to do so. There's a paradigm shift underway, and Trump is in the middle of it. Now, some of you are going, 8-week plan? What 8-week plan? What is this 8-week plan of which you speak? Go back to July 17th, the Rose Garden press conference Trump gave, and roll the tape. The video that Carlos linked is cued to the 42nd minute. At 42 minutes, 17 seconds of the YouTube video, Trump suddenly begins to speak about the awesome 8-week plan he has prepared that is kicking off the next Tuesday, which was Tuesday, July 21st. Please listen. Listen carefully to what the President of the United States said back on July 17th. Pay specific attention to certain words he uses. Don't just listen. Hear what he's saying. Quote, things nobody has even contemplated. It's going to be a very exciting 8 weeks. Can honestly say nobody has ever seen 8 weeks like we're going to have. They've been working on these things for 25 to 30 years. So I think we'll start sometime on Tuesday. Now, on the day the clock started ticking on that 8-week period, the morning of Tuesday, July 17th, Trump rolled out 2 new executive orders he was going to sign. First, he signed one saying only U.S. citizens would be counted in the 2020 census. Second, prescription drug prices. Then came the news of the Kurdish oil deal. More than a year in the making, which means the entire time the establishment in D.C. was screaming Trump was about to cause a Kurdish genocide, he was actually untying a Gordian knot that had flummoxed everybody else. That dropped on August 3rd. Nothing about the oil profits plan leaked ahead of time, even though it took more than a year to negotiate it from Politico. Little-known U.S. firm secures deal for Syrian oil. Far from causing a Kurdish genocide, Trump fixed an intractable problem that appeared to have no conventional solution. Imagine that. Same thing he did with the newly announced Serbia-Kosovo economic deal. The Politico think tank class in D.C. and the policy wonks of the EU bureaucracy were unable to end a 20-plus year Serbia-Kosovo stalemate. Now the EU is loudly whining that if Serbia and Kosovo move their embassies to Jerusalem, they won't be admitted to the EU. That same think tank establishment class viewed a Russian-backed Iranian nuclear umbrella over the Middle East as an inevitability. The best that could be hoped for was to merely delay the Iranian nuclear breakout for a few years, or so we were told. And so, while the Obama-Biden administration stiffed Israel at every opportunity, it relentlessly sucked up to Iran, Russia, and China, encouraged and urged on by a political elite class in D.C. floating on a sea of foreign bribes disguised as lobbying and media coverage. Trump is shutting off the foreign money spigot into D.C. from places like China, Iran, Russia, Qatar, certain factions in Saudi Arabia and elsewhere. At the same time, he's demonstrating the inevitable Russo-Iranian nuclear umbrella was not so inevitable after all. Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize just for whacking Soleimani as the operational head and de facto commander of a dozen of Iran's proxy terrorist groups. Taking him out not only ended all the attacks on U.S. bases and assets in Iraq, it will take Iran years to replace him. Now, following what some believe was the destruction of a massive stockpile of Hezbollah missiles in Lebanon, suddenly peace deals are being rolled into the open, deals that were months, if not years, in the making. Balance of power in the region is shifting. The Israel-UAE peace deal, long in the works, goes public. Now Bahrain is going to follow the UAE's example, and I fully expect there will be more. Those who backed the Russo-Iranian nuclear hegemony for the Middle East can only watch what's unfolding in stupefaction. I said it 2 days ago in my column at Uncover DC, and I'll say it again now. Give this president a Nobel Peace Prize and give it to him now. Check it out, uncoverdc.com. Donald Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. Brian Cates. You know who we can thank for what Trump and our allies are doing in the Middle East these days? This clueless idiot. Early on, back in 2009, he proved to the Saudis and the rest of the GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council, he was going to be no help whatsoever in reining in Iran or Russia in their region. When the Saudi king kept trying to talk about Iran and its nuclear weapons program, Obama kept stubbornly changing the subject to Israel. Write this down. The Arab nations of the region do not want to live under an Iranian nuclear umbrella. Obama said it was inevitable. So, something changed in the Middle East, something important. While Obama and Ben Rhodes and Hillary Clinton and John Kerry were focused like a laser on appeasing and sucking up to Iran and Russia to get that precious Iran deal finalized, our allies over there got smart. Keeping Obama mostly out of the loop, the Gulf Cooperation Council began having its member nations coordinate their special forces together. Obama literally forced them to create a multinational force for their own region to handle their own security. By the time Obama left office and Trump won and came in, all this multinational force needed was the proper military equipment and weapons to take on threats like ISIS and Iran. Guess what happened? Trump gave them what they needed, and they love him for it. It's no mystery why Trump's very first foreign visit as US president was to Saudi Arabia, where a massive arms deal was made to equip not just Saudi Arabia, but the multinational GCC Commando Force. The House of War has become the House of Peace, it was sung. Every other president dictated to the Arab countries what they were going to do. You do this, you guys over there will do that, we're in charge, do what we say, or we'll leave. Trump was 180 degrees different. He said, you're in charge, how can I help you? To this day, the political establishment has no idea what that Saudi trip signified, what happened during it. They were too busy mocking it, and screaming an arms deal with Saudi Arabia was a stupid thing for Trump to do. Trump moved the US military from a leading role to a supporting role. The locals are in charge, the locals do the heavy lifting. It wasn't really US soldiers leading the way in the destruction of ISIS. Our guys were in the rear or in an advisory role. Taking on ISIS and destroying the caliphate was the first big test for a GCC multinational force that was almost a decade in the making. With US help and assistance, they got the job done. They're trained, equipped, and ready. Do you realize what this means? It means the US military can reduce its presence in the region, which is exactly why President Trump is following through on his promises to end the Iraq and Afghan military operations. We're not needed there any longer. Of course, for every 1,000 US soldiers in a hot zone, there are many, many people who make big bank on their being overseas. Construction, housing, equipment, maintenance. We're talking hundreds and billions here to defense contractors and others in the establishment. So, people who make more money the more US soldiers are deployed are of course not happy, realizing this paradigm shift means a reduced presence in the Middle East. They face losing contracts worth millions of dollars. Oh well, too bad. To counter a Russian and Chinese-backed Iranian nuclear hegemony in the Middle East, a significant US military presence was going to be required. See where I've been going with this? The political, military elite, DC establishment's worst nightmares are coming true. Trump has taken the biggest reason for a growing US military presence in the Middle East off of the board. This is going to have significant financial consequences for some people. The paradigm shift in the region from A, a growing US military presence to counter the growing threat of a Russo-China-backed Iranian nuclear umbrella, to B, a shrinking US military presence as Israel and GCC allies secure the region against a non-nuclear Iran, is happening now. Trump's 8-week plan is almost finished. The actual end date of the 8-week period is coming Tuesday, the 15th of September. That is the day that Israel and the United Arab Emirates are scheduled to sign their peace treaty at the White House. Another Arab nation, Bahrain, has just announced that they too will be signing a treaty with Israel. There are rumors more Arab League, GCC nations will be following suit. The old paradigm is dead. Long live the new Trump paradigm. 4 more years. 4 more years. You can help support Brian Cates in his independent citizen journalist writing, researching, and traveling by making a donation at paypal.me/drawandstrike. Thanks for listening.